Hi everyone, how are you all doing? So, in the afternoon lecture today, we are going to talk more about asynchronous development or functions in JavaScript. So, I'll provide examples uh, of writing codes or functions in JavaScript uh, where we use asynchronous like the asynchronous functionality. Um, so as you like learned in the morning, we use asynchronous uh, programming or functions when we have um, when we have a task that takes time and we want the program to like continue working on other tasks while we wait for the first task. So you can view it from two angles. The one is like we do a multitasking, and this is like something that computers are very good at. So we don't wait for a task to complete in order to start another task. Instead, we write ourselves like an asynchronous function in order to start a task and wait. We are not waiting for it to finish. We start another task or other tasks, or we just, like the compiler would keep reading other code. And then once that task, the asynchronous task, the results of it, is received, we then uh, use the results and like present it or like yeah, there is of course, but I'm just making a quick recap from the morning. So in this lecture, I'm gonna do hands-on like syntax of uh, asynchronous functions. You can follow with me if you want, or you can come back to the lecture later. So I'm going to introduce the syntax of mainly, I'm going to revisit set timeout, and then I'm going to write asynchronous function, and we will see that in action in different examples. So let's start with, let's say we have an async task. So async tasks would be like in real life, they're gonna be like either we're downloading a large file from the internet, we have a very complex calculation. So anything basically that takes computing time or time in general. So if I have like very complex calculation that takes like 5 minutes, let's say, then I'm not gonna wait 5 minutes until I, continue running my code. So I'll do async. So in order to like, since we don't have this calculation like on hand right now, so to simulate this time, we can use set timeout. So as you remember, set timeout is a function that allow us to have a delay. So I can do this by, it's the way to write set timeout is to have it like this, and you can have arrow function inside, and you can write the code here, and you can add the delay here. So this is in milliseconds here. So this is the this is the structure of set timeout. Set timeout, you open parentheses, then arrow function with delay here, and then you can say, okay, console log. Let's say print this. Okay, that's weird. Okay, I'm not calling the function. Uh, so as you know, this is I'm just declaring the function. Now I need to write to call the function, and now I don't have parameters for now. And as you can see, I'm waiting 5 seconds, and then I'm printing this. So this is just to make a simulation of async task that we will do just right now by set timeout. But in real life examples, you would use set timeout, as I told you again, when you download a large file or when you um, have very heavy or complex calculation, anything basically that requires time. So if you have any questions at any time, just let me know on the chat. If you want me to revisit any topic or like tell you what we are doing basically at any time, just also let me know. So the syntax of async function. Yeah.
Can you just repeat what was the issue right now? The why we had a problem with the set timeout right now. You just
Okay,
made a
we just visited set timeout. You remember set timeout from previous courses? I'm just making like a revision. Like set timeout basically makes you add a delay to a function, right? So we are going to use this in order to make a simulation of asynchronous task. Is it clear? So again, we are today we are learning asynchronous functionality. So asynchronous functionality is we just write normal function, but before that we just add async. Now to do again, we use async. Okay, 1 second. Sorry. So we use async when there is again when there is time, when there's a task that takes too much time, and I don't want the program to wait for that task. I want the program to do other tasks, to multitask basically. So I'm gonna make a simulation of this task through set timeout. I'm gonna imagine I have a task that take 5 seconds, and I'm gonna see how async is gonna act. I mean, during this task. So to define an async function, you just add async at the beginning of the function name. Like, you know, the function is usually function name, and you can have any parameters. Just add async. And here you can say, okay, tasks. And inside, you need to use the word await before any task. So the idea is that anything inside this function, which has async, is gonna await, is gonna like run in an asynchronous manner. And the asynchronous manner is controlled through the await. So let's say I want to okay, constant and text. I can say await. So here we can call the like the asynchronous or the task that takes time, the asynchronous task. So I'm gonna use the function here, the async task. And also, let's see first the results. Actually, nothing. We're just referring to the await, but it's nothing. You can just do like this. Okay. Okay, we need to call for this. Again, I'm declaring, but I'm not calling. So this way, as you can see, we are awaiting the async task. Now, usually this task, again, imagine, as we will see, actually, I have an example of like a real life example of waiting. But imagine you have a task of like reading a large file, which takes 5 seconds. And I'm making a simulation of that task. Let's say, okay, read large file. Here you can name it ask one. So this is just a reference to the await. Nothing is going to be stored here. I'm just printing from here after 5 seconds. So this is how, like, this is the most basic structure of async function. Async here, await here, anything in between. So if we have console here, and inside the sync. So as you can see, anything with like marked with await is gonna await. And then anything else is gonna is not going to wait. So if I have something before tasks, let's say before I call the function, print before tasks. And print after tasks. So as you can see, I have print before tasks, print after tasks, print before, print after, print inside, and then I have the await. So I'm not waiting, even though if there's no await, let's say we have a normal function without await. Let's look at the difference. Actually, in this scenario, I have 5 seconds, so I'm simulating the async, so nothing is gonna. So print this is the same, but before, inside, after, before, after, inside. So before, after, and then inside. Look at the difference. I mean, the async that I'm simulating the async through the 5 seconds. So we wouldn't notice the difference. But again, in real life example, I'm simulating real life example of async and await like this. So imagine the scenario of reading large file, very complex calculation, or even sometimes if you have like multiple tasks and you want, or the tasks are let's say they're not gonna run in order, they're gonna run like each has its own delay. Also, async is used. Exactly, yes. So this is the syntax, and this is found in many programming languages. It's called asynchronous programming, and the syntax in most programming languages is async and await. And also in most programming languages, or at least the one I know or used, is you would have the same syntax. Async before the function name and await inside. So you define, this is an asynchronous function. There's asynchronous components in that function, and I'm gonna await for certain components. I'm gonna run other components. I'm not gonna wait for that components. Once these components are like I receive the results of these components, then I can print them or do whatever to them according to what I'm doing. So again, do you have any questions about this? Let's start. Let's look at it from one more time. Async, then function, function name, parameters. Then we have await, and we usually you can call another function. Another time heavy function, time task, and here you would have other operations, other commands, and even before other commands. So this is the usual scenario. Actually, let's I can check what other scenarios this could be useful in. Yeah, this is also very important. We're going to talk about this tomorrow. Network requests. So if you call a request to a server from the client, as you know, like the server might be busy, your request may be complicated. There's many scenarios that could happen. So what we can do is to do async await, because we're not aware what's the status of the server. So we do async await. Database operations. Yeah, this is like the popular scenarios. Also, there is another like block of code that is always used with async function, with async await. So usually this is like, as I told you, this is the normal way to do it, but there's also another block which is called try catch. So as you can see, it's here. You can just try catch and have it here. It's try, catch, and error here. So the idea is that we try something, and if that something is not working, we catch an error, and then we display the error here. This is the idea of try catch. Usually, those goes together, like await, async functionality, and await goes together. So instead of having await without outside of try catch, we usually put it inside try catch. And the reason, as I told you, is we since this is an asynchronous function, and we are more prone to error because we are usually because I mean, as I told you, like we are either waiting for a large file to download, or we are calling a server. We don't know the status of the server, so there might be many errors here. And to catch these errors and to make things more like to like control how the behavior of the code. So let's say I have a server and I want certain data from that server. So I do the call to the server, and many errors could occur as you learned in the morning with the get and post and delete, the API methods. So the server might be not running. Maybe my code isn't correct. There's different codes for that. So I want the user to be informed of what is happening. So that's why I do the try catch instead of just call the server directly. This way, I can do a try catch on the command inside try. I try this command. If there's error, catch the error and just print the error. And the error would be depend on this command inside the try. Try catch execute priority. What do you mean by priority? Like, usually the error is just console log error. So it's basically I just want control and I want to understand what's happening. This is usually the case. So inside the try, it's I mean, if I understood your question well, try the tasks inside try are going to like called one by one, and then if there's an error, then I'm gonna have it here. If there's an error, then I'll just exit the try catch. So this is the structure of from today. I hope that you like remember it and also understand this concept. Again, I'm gonna try it one more time. Please type in async function. I can have parameters. And then I have, okay, open the question. I have, okay, console log. Sync operations. Sync operations is the normal operations. So it's basically, I'm not waiting for, all right. So I'm not, sync operations is the normal operation. So I'm not like making anything async. This is the normal way to put things. And then try open brackets, then after that catch, then error, and then here I can console log error. And in real life scenarios, you can do with the error whatever you want, depends on the try command, which is console log async operations, and then you can after that have sync operations. Yeah, the await is basically here. So async await and async operations here. So this is the basic structure of async await, and we have try catch. Now let's see what we can do with our code. Okay, so let's say we have okay, let's say I have a like I have tasks. I have an example of different tasks. Let's say we call it async tasks or async task. And here perform tasks. So what I want to do is I have multiple tasks, and each task is like has a different time, and I'm gonna simulate this through the async task, through the timeout, sorry. So I'm gonna do, as I told you before, I'm gonna have the try catch, and inside the try catch, I want to await for async task. And here I can add parameters. Let's say I have like I can say, okay, task name here. And also I can decide the delay. And instead of 5 seconds, I can have the delay here. And I can say here, this is the task name. Okay, it should be the opposite. This is the task name, which is repeated after delay seconds. Oh, okay, well, it's in milliseconds. So here's my async task. I can now call await by passing the task name. Okay, this is read. We are simulating, so you can just say reading a large file, and then I can pass. Okay, maybe that would need 5 seconds, and then I have call HTTP request to a server. Maybe this needs 2 seconds. And maybe another task is let's say calculate a very complex calculation, and maybe it requires 10 seconds. So I'm just simulating different tasks. Yeah, I'm gonna do that next, but I'm just doing this for to show you how async works. And at the same time, actually, you can use this on certain examples. You can do something like what I'm doing here. Like you can use Async-Await for different tasks using delay. So also this is like a good or feasible example. And let's see what we will have. So let's look at let's look at the behavior of async with async tasks. So this is sync task. Let's call the function. So as you can see, this is called first, then this one. Then as you can see, I have the asynchronous working based on the delay. Completed in 2000 seconds, 5,000 and 10,000. Also, we can see like, what about tasks inside the try? If there's sync task, print inside try. And here, sync print after try catch. So as you can see also, even though this is async function, and I'm having sync operations inside the try, even outside the try, they are printed first, and then they're not awaiting as these tasks because there's a wait here. Yes, actually, this is also one way to use async is when you get data from the database. So what I'm introducing today is a way or type of functions or type of programming. It's called asynchronous functions, and it has multiple uses. One of like the most popular or the most used like way, I mean, there's different ways to use these functions. One is, as you said, to get data from the database. So if you have large data, if you have images, if you have large files, then you want async-await. If you don't have async-await, then we're gonna wait and everything is going to stop. And wait until the function is. So we will see the behavior next, since this is a delay, so I'm still even waiting. This is simulation again. Async task, you can say simulate. This simulating through the delay. But I'm gonna show you next on like a real example. If we don't use async and await, then the behavior is gonna be different. So let's say you have data on the database that you want to call, and you just define a function, and you say, okay, go bring fetch data EB, and you just say, okay, like there's an API, and you say fetch, and you have the URL of the API. So if you have any other operations below, they're gonna wait. The program is gonna stuck and wait until you fetch all the data, and then everything is gonna run after that. But if you do async and await, in that way, the behavior is gonna be as we have seen here. You will have sync tasks working, printed, everything you have outside the try and outside or even inside, anything without await is gonna be performed. And then once I have the async tasks finished, I can have them and use them. So this is the power of, or let's say the benefit of using async functionality. So again, this is one way to use it, the database. Also, another way is to call servers through APIs to have requests of like getting information, certain information. Also, we check here. I asked ChatGPT about this. So there's databases, there's network requests, there's timers and delays, as we have seen, like with the set timeout. There's like concurrent tasks, as also we have seen here. Okay, also reading files. I have an example of reading file next. So let's say you have a large file locally on your machine, and that file is like 1 gigabyte. So reading the file before printing it, or like making modifications to it, or doing any operation to it, that requires time. So you don't want your program to wait. You want to do async. So you do async, read file, and then await, and you start reading the file. So this is the syntax again for today. Any questions so far? Sync. And try catch. Yeah, I'm gonna like show you an example of uploading a file. But for now, let's look at the concept and the syntax. So the concept of async and the syntax of async, try, catch, and await. Another example. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. But before that, like, um, I want you before that to uh, I want to show you another example. Also, I'm using set timeout, and then after that, I'm gonna show you an example with uploading a file, large file. Um, so this example um, is basically relevant to the one before, but I'm just simulating that I have very complex calculation that requires time, and um, and I want to look at errors, try catch error a little bit. So let's say I have a function of very complex calculation, and let's say again I'm gonna have the try catch block here. Let's say I have a it's just the complex calculation for now is just checking the number if it's greater than 100 or not. So again, this is not complex calculation, obviously, but we are just, again, simulating in a way. So let's say we can simulate this again using set timeout. And function, and I can have the delay. Let's say it takes I don't know 10 seconds to perform this calculation. Okay, as you can see, it gives me an error here because the function is sync function. It should be async in order to use await. So I have async await. I have set timeout of 10 seconds, which is a very complex calculation. And here I'm just saying if n is greater or equal than 100, then just let me know. Okay, this is console.log. Okay, maybe operation is successful. And I can print the number that's the result of the complex calculation. And here I can say, okay, this is the end of a thing or task. So I'm awaiting for set timeout, 10 seconds. And if n is greater than 100, then this is successful. If it's not, then console log operation failed. Number is, I can also print the number, which is this 100. So as you can see, this is not an error, but even though it's not an error, I'm just typing operation failed because I'm inside the try catch. You can, or inside the await, you can also do anything, any if else, or any components that we have previously used. You can use while loops, for loops, or anything you want. So this is, again, this is not an error. So the error here is related to what you are doing inside the await. If there's an error, like a logical error, programmatical error, then I'm gonna print it here. Again, this is because we are doing calculations here. We're not calling an API, we're not calling a server. So the error is not related to network or server or anything. It's related to logic. So if there's an error, then I can just type, okay, console log async error. And I can just print the error. Usually this actually is used to, as the title say, it's used to catch error, basically, to catch errors. So if you are working with, actually this is the best scenario is when you're working with a server, when you call a server or bring data from database. If you want to know what is going wrong, then the best thing to do is do try catch. So try catch is not like also limited to async and await. You can use it where you can find it's useful. Like if you want to catch errors and you are not aware what is happening, then just try catch, print the error. Especially when you're using when you're working with a framework, like a backend framework. Usually there is error validation. Like the backend framework would have an error code, an error validation. So there would be many errors that would just be, printed for certain scenarios. So again, it's very useful, and you don't need to do anything more than console log, at least for like catching the errors. If you just want to catch and know what's happening, then catch. And you can also, let's imagine you have like a web application where the user is trying to maybe modify their profile on the website. So what you can do is can have a try catch, and you can write code about modifying, like taking the values from the forms, values from forms, then fetching, or like you can use put API. Okay, it's post, and add update profile for the database. So if anything wrong during like updating the file, you can just catch the error and just print the error through, let's say, an alarm. So if you, maybe many of us like have encountered this, we just sometimes try to update our profile, try to pay something online, and then we press confirm or okay, then we will have a pop-up message that says something went wrong, connection to database is you know is not possible right now, something like this. So this you could do this using async and try catch. So the async in that case would have if you have encountered this, you would see like a circle, a loading circle that would run for a while. Then you would have, if there's an error, uh, you would have the error printed as a pop-up. Yeah, it's multiple error codes. It actually depends again depends on the weight, on the await. So for the network, yes, for like the network errors, there's multiple error codes. But if it's like in our case here, in our scenario of calculation, we are not calling an API, then you can have it as a Boolean, you can have it as a, okay, async operation error, you can type the error, which is basically you're not very concerned with the error. You just want to say, okay, just there's an error. So it's up to the logic or what you are doing inside the await rather than the try catch itself. Yeah. Okay, so in our example, we have very complex calculation. We have a we are checking if a number is greater than 100. Let's say for some reason it's taking 10 seconds. Usually this operation is like in nanoseconds. The computer could just do it in nanoseconds, but let's imagine it takes 10 seconds. So in both cases here, okay, this is successful as well. Or okay, it's okay. Anyway, inside you can inside the await you can have any kind of code that you want, and you can catch the errors accordingly. Now we can call very complex calculation, and we can pass the number we want to check if it's greater than 100 or not. So let's say I passed 50. Okay, this is the previous script 2. So as you can see, I've waited for 10 seconds. And then after that, I get 50, operation failed at end of asynchronous task. This is not an error. This is something I wanted to print. If I have 100, let's see results. If it goes to an infinite time wait, yeah, usually if like when you work with databases and servers, they'd have a timeout already built in, so it's gonna give you like after I don't know how many seconds, it's gonna give you timeout. So yeah, but if you're doing calculations by like this, and you are doing something like an infinite loop, then there's no way. So if I say like while 1, so I think I'm gonna wait forever here. yeah, so 10 seconds have passed. So if you do like this, then this error is not catched because we are stuck here. Okay, now uh, let's look at the behavior of sync. Okay, this is the sync code. And let's look at the sync code. So sync code runs, and then let's make this 5 seconds. But let's say I have also other operations running here. And okay, let's make it. That's weird. Right, let's say I have here calculation results, also here calculation results, and maybe after the await or after the else, I can say calculation ended. And here I can say sync operations ended. And maybe those will make a different symbol. So as you can see, the sync code is running. This is called, then other operations are running, then sync operations ended, then calculation results. We receive the calculation results and calculation ended here. We have operation successful 105 because it's more than 100. And if it's, let's say, 80, and then you're gonna have same behavior from the sync, but the async is gonna give me operation fail numbers 80. For the async operation error here, what could be make wrong? Um, so the only errors that we can apply, I think, is could be catched by the yeah, could be catched. Okay, this is syntax. So any logical errors. Okay, we will look at errors maybe in the next example. So again, basically, catch error is to catch and identify errors. And yeah, when you use async, be aware of the sync, which is the normal code. You can use sync code as you would like. This is actually why we are using async, sorry, in order to write other code normally, as we are doing now. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, let's take a break and then we can come back and start with um, like reading a file, reading file, yeah, reading file example. Okay, everyone. So in the next example, I'm gonna show you an example of like a real life example of using async. So I have a large file, text file. I think it's 500 megapixel. Um, yeah, it's just for testing. So as you can see, it takes very long time just to open. And I think it contains like a character written, I don't know how many times, but it's just yeah, like around 500 mega. Okay, as you can see, this makes my this caused my VS Code to crash. Can you still hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, so yeah, I was like disconnected. I was talking, then I was like my Zoom just crashed. The thing is, I opened the large file I have. That's why my device just uh yeah. So I have a file of 500 megapixel. So I'm not gonna try to open it one more time, but I'm gonna use it just as an example for, async. So this is the file I'm gonna. So I clicked here and then everything crashed. Um, so let's see how can we. Okay, can we do this? Okay, so there is a library called FS. It's FS from Node. I think it's a package. Yeah, file system. So this package, I think we have used it before as well. We can use it to, as the title says, the file system is basically the machine like Explorer in Windows, or the Finder on Mac, where you can access files and folders on the hard disk. So we can do this also using FS. You can download it from the terminal by just, I think, npm install FS. Yeah. And after that, we can just use FS, require FS. Yeah. So we name it FS, then require. As we like, when we include a node package, we just do it this way. So now I can use the fs functions. The fs, again, file system, is a way to read or write files on the machine. And I have a large file. I want to read that file. And reading the file takes time. I think it's going to take like 2 or 3 seconds. And I don't want to wait these seconds. So again, this is an example. If you're downloading this file, if you have, let's say, if someone have an average internet connection and they want to download 5 gigs, so we don't want to wait 5 gigabytes to be downloaded and then to run the rest of the code. We want to download in the background and do other operations. Yeah, we want the code to continue running. So let's do this. Let's see how we can do this. So I'm going to use async, of course. And we're going to have a function and can call it read file async. And here I can have the path of the file. And I can start with try and catch. So the name here, you can call it as you like. This is not a keyword. You can just type E or ERR or error or anything you want, parameter, and you can use it here. So, but we're basically catching error. So it's better just call it error. So to read a file from a path using fs, we can use fs read file. Let's take a look. So as you can see, this is the file system package from Node.js. And these are all like the functions. If you scroll up, you have all the functions for in the file system. You can do create, you can do access, and so on. So we want the read file one. So as you can see, there's read file sync and there's read file. So by default, read file is async because it's usually an operation that takes time. So read file asynchronously reads the entire content of a file. So the idea of reading a file is just like it resembles double click on the GUI, on the user interface. Read file means just double click. It's not about like printing the file. It's just about like preparing the file to be used, you can say. So it's not even double click. It's basically a way to fetch the file into a variable, like in the program, or a way to say, okay, I can access this file through a variable by just using read file. And this takes time because I want, actually what's happening here is there's a buffer, yeah. So when I say read file and I pass the URL, the path, then I'm assigning the file, this file, to the data variable. And this is stored in a buffer. So in a way, I'm just preparing the file to be viewed, to be modified, and to do any other operations on it based on the file system I have. So to do this, as you have seen, I just need to do fs.read file, but it's an asynchronous function. And I have an async, I'm also defining an asynchronous function. So, and it's, as you can see, as you have seen, also it returns data and it returns a kind of an error. Where is it? Yeah, so there's data and there's error. And the error is thrown like this, and the data you can use it as you like. So, and I have my own async file here because I want to have a I want to have my other code running synchronously. So I want the to read the data and give it like asynchronously, yeah, and work on other synchronous code. So I can say fs dot read file. I can give the path, and we can also look at the behavior. So we can see, we can say, okay, this is the reading operation started. Reading operation ended. And I want the function, I want to use the function in another function. I can just say return data. And if there's an error, I want to say console log actually, we can also say through error here. Because as you have seen, we can use through error. But the error is gonna be thrown on the terminal. So in our scenario, that's fine. But we can also have like a console log just letting us know what is happening. This is error. Now I want to use the async read file in another file. And this is the usual scenario when you use async. So let's say you have a function called main. So the usual scenario is your async function is on another like function, and you have the core operations of your functions. They are on sync, and you would call the async. So since we also want to so we want to call read file async. Okay, it's async read file. I can path provide a path here, which is my large text file here. So large file text. Through error is like it actually it comes with try catch. So you can just try catch and through error. Let me make sure I'm saying the right thing. So the try block contains the code that may throw an error. In this case, you use throw statement to create and throw a custom error with the message. So this is also, so it's try, catch, and throw. So you can either say console log error, or you can say throw error. I think this is usually catched by the debuggers, Like if you are using debugger or of certain kind, throw error is more, okay, I'm not sure about this, but you can either do this, console log error, or with the try catch, you can just throw the error. Throw the error is basically like return. So we either return data or we throw error in a try catch. Okay, so I'm reading the file here, but the file is okay, the file is large. Function main. Let's see what is gonna happen here. So because I want my rest of code to work. So the idea is that let's say console.log, and there's sync operations. Let's say we have made here. So as you can see, I have sync operations printed, then reading operation started, then I have reading operation error. So as you can see, I've catched the error, and let's say I remove throw error. So throw error. Let's look at the behavior with using console log or with using throw error. So now let's say console log. So we have reading operation. Okay, this is printed. Then reading started. It's this one. Then we starting the reading, and there's an error here. So I catched the error, and it says, okay, reading operation error. It's this one, and this is the error like returned from this, which says callback must be function received and defined, which is on. So this is from the FS. This is from the package FS. So this is the errors I'm telling you about. That errors outside, like the error catched, are related to what is happening inside the try, like what you're doing inside the try. So in that way, this is from the package. You can just search about this error. You have type, and you have invalid callback or invalid callback, and the callback must be a function. So you can either solve it by yourself or check the documentation or check online for solutions. So this is the idea of catch error. So here I'm not using await. Excuse me. So I'm not using await. This is an issue. I think this is an issue with, we can have it. Okay, let's check one more time. I'm still having the error, so it's not related to await. But let's also, before we fix the error, look at row error instead of console log. So throw error is like, as I told you, it's like return. It comes at the end. So the same error I have, and the difference is with error capture stack trace is like there is a stack of errors. Yeah, that's the difference. Okay, we don't need to go there, but for like you can know that throw error is it's like return. Return, you have one return in a function and it return the data and the function would end. Throw error is the same, but it's with the case of an error. It gives you the error and it ends the function. So we can has both or either. Okay, I prefer now, for now, I just want the console log in order to see the like sequential steps that's happening. So I have sync operations. I've started reading, but I catched an error. So it's printed. Then the other sync operations are printed. So because I'm doing this, I'm having the print here, and then the other sync operations after. Because this is not async. There's nothing, because there's an error. So this is not multitasking. I've catched an error. So I think what the error we have here is with the way we are writing the file. It should be, I think it should be fs.promises. Fs.promises.read file. As you can see, I didn't wait, so there's no await, so I'm not doing any asynchronous stuff. So this is 500 file, which is, as you can see, it takes no time at all. It's like synchronous. So this, when I add the await, you can see the difference, I think. Okay, now look at the difference. I started reading. The sync operation here, the first sync operation is here. I've started reading, then I have the other sync operations. And then it took like around 2 seconds to read the file. I'm awaiting here. Once I have those, I return the data. So this is like a real life example. So without the await, there's no async, even though if you have async here. Let's look at it one more time. As you can see, reading started, reading ended, because no await. So I'm just jumping to the next like sync code without waiting this. So I might be here and the data is not read fully. So when I use data, it might be corrupted or it might be not read like in a proper way. So I might have errors with data. So that's why I need to await. And then to continue reading. So this usually also, so this is a try catch, which is related to the await operation. This would catch, as we have seen, any errors related to what we are having inside the try catch, which is, in this case, the console logs are like are okay, but we're using a package of fs promises read file. So we're going to catch the errors of this. But also what usually happens is we need an async and or a try catch like inside between the sorry, when we call the async read file. So in that way, we can have a, like you can say, two layers of error, of catching errors. We can have a layer of, this is the first layer, which is related to the reading, and this is the second layer, which is related to what is happening like before and after reading. So this is a simple example, of course. Nothing much is happening, but in a real life example, when you're working with databases, servers, different APIs, it's gonna be complicated. You have pages of like files of like, I don't know, hundreds of lines of code. So yeah, this is like a better approach to have a try catch, another try catch between like the async function that you're calling. You can also make the main function async and have a wait here. So you will wait here, and once you have, also this would wait. If you, let's say you want to use the results of read file, so this would return data, and I can have data here. So you want to use the data. You want to use the data after we read it, then you can have it here. Actually, let's try and print it, even though this could, this might make my VS Code crash. Let's see, because this is 500 megabytes of text. I just say data. Okay, it's okay, it's not printing it by itself, it's just telling me this is okay, this is ASCII code, or maybe I just need to read the file differently. Here I need to add an option of UTF-8. So this is an encoding way to read this. So as you know, 7, 8, like each character on the keyboard has like a code, ASCII code, or yeah, an ASCII code. So when I read it, I want to convert the binary into a character. Anyway, let's yeah, it's the X. So as you can see, it's a text file full of X's. It's very huge. So even if I like went to the top, as you can see, it's still writing. I need to stop it. And it's, yeah. I even cannot see the like the, okay, read. Let's take a look if we can. Okay, we cannot. Yeah, so we do sync operations, then we wait for the data, and we then print the data after the sync. If we, let's say we don't have the async here, and we have the try catch, this could work in this example, because again, it's, we don't have many complicated promise. Okay, it's not working. Yeah, because let's see, is this an error? Okay, it's not. But what is happening here is I'm printing data, which is still pending. I'm printing data without waiting for it to be read first. So that's why I have pending. The promise is pending. So in this case, even I need this function to be await. And the reason is I'm printing data here. So I want to wait for the data to be read and then to print the data. Okay. So this is for try catch. Also, when you do web development, you would use a wait with UI elements. So let's say you have again a profile page of any web application. You access your profile page. You want to do any like editings or modifications. So you open the profile page, and the developers have their like await try catch async function of await, and they have, let's say, you know like let's say Facebook or Twitter, there's billions of accounts, and you access your account, there's uh, um, an await to retrieve your profile information. So sometimes they would have like, let's say in a certain website, they would have heavy load on their servers, or maybe our internet connection is not like is weak for some reason. So this would take time, the await. But the user needs to be informed of what is happening. So I want to modify my profile information. I've clicked on edit and I am waiting. So in that case, what usually happens is you use the async await, but you use also UI elements. Okay, this is not related directly to this, but since we were talking JavaScript, so it's somehow related. Beside async and await, you use like loading, kind of a loading screen. So in that case, the sync operations, there's no sync operations in the page, because the page is like, the purpose of the page is to view and edit my data. So I'm waiting for the data to be loaded. So in that case, usually what they do is like kind of having an image, or they like, okay, we are not using HTML, but with the HTML and CSS, we can have a kind of loading screen. Loading screen. Okay, maybe here. So we start the loading screen and we try the data. Once we have the data is ready, we can turn off the loading screen. Something like that. Okay, the syntax is not like 100% correct, but yeah, you would have loading screen, and you can have it like a Boolean. You can have a Boolean of true or false, and turn the loading screen on. Once the data is fetched, you can say, I think there is dot then. Yeah. Okay, let's try this. I'm not sure if JavaScript have dot then, but I think it's, as it shows here, it has console log. Okay, loading screen off. So, okay, don't want to print the data. maybe not here. Yeah, maybe here. Then instead of trading operation ended, okay, the idea is once it's a callback for the resolution or the rejection of the promise. So once the read file is like has finished, then do this. So then is like make sure that this is printed after we read the file. But the behavior here is not okay. Okay, anyway, let's forget about them. For now, you can hear, let's say, imagine the loading screen off, and we can have here loading screen on. So loading screen is on, then we have read the file. After we read the file, we can modify the form of edit and have the loading screen off and have our information on the screen. Okay, this is another example of reading file. Any questions so far? Yeah, I think I've answered the question why we didn't read file without all these functions. So yeah, the reason is we, as you have seen, we would have an error that, okay, the data is not fully received yet. So I need to wait until the data is received, then I can print the data or log the data, or I can manipulate the data. So I cannot modify the data or work on the data without it being read first. That's the reason. I'm looking at ways of try catch. So usually try catch and asynchronous. So both are like used usually together with in the cases of yeah, reading files, Dash files, fetching from databases, APIs. Um, we can look at another example of yeah, so those are like the most again use cases. Tomorrow we will see APIs. We will talk about APIs more, but today The idea is to talk about the syntax and to look at the try catch and the idea of file, like reading file. I'm wondering if we used read file sync here, what is gonna happen? It's not a function, so we don't do promises. Okay, it's still because I'm using await and async. Yeah, so now I have a kind of an error, or again, if I in this scenario, if I try to access data, it's gonna be corrupted because I didn't wait. So yeah, I have to wait, and I should use async. Make sure I'm waiting. Actually, let's check. I can check the documentation for my system. For the asynchronous version of each file, it tells the contents of the file. Yeah, it's the same, but it's just do it synchronously. In our case, it's working again because it's just 2 seconds and we don't have much code. Usually, from my experience, this like if you just you wouldn't face many problems with async await if you like follow this structure. Yeah, usually it's just like APIs or servers are listening. They're waiting for calls or for requests from clients. So it's just the way you handle the error and the way you handle the data. This is up to the developer. But when we like when we use database, yeah, it's just there is a way to access the database to update the file. There's certain syntax provided by the database, and you update the database and you try and catch error. So yeah, again, if you like remember from the day this structure, that would be great, like async and try and catch of the async function. And then inside the try, you would use await for, again, reading files, fetching data from database, requesting APIs, and so on. Also, we can even write file. So write file is same as read file. It's asynchronous, but let's say you want to create a new file and write on that file. So let's say I want to create a new file, and actually, I'm not sure if this is the syntax. So we can take a look. Writes data to a file, placing the file it already exists. So we provide the message, and then yeah, we provide sorry, the file path and then the message. So we have provided the file path, then this is my new file. And I want to do this asynchronously. Let's say you're writing very large code, then you can do it this way. Async file, you do no script. And as you can see, I have a new file here with this is my new file. Yes, there's gonna be a quiz today. We are working on it. I think so there's a new structure from now on. So there's gonna be one assignment per week, and there's gonna be a quiz every day with resources. So you look at during the labs, you will revisit. Yes, during the labs, you will first look at the lab material, like the material of the lab, and then once you've done, you can take the quiz. So here's this is the new format. Can you access the quiz? Can you see it from your side? So, okay, great. So assignments will now be assigned weekly, and they're due 2 weeks after that. The assignment for the content you have learned this week will be assigned November 3rd and due November 17th. This is an example of, okay, 17. Yeah, November 3rd on Friday. You will have the assignment, and it's gonna be due on 17, which is after basically 2 weeks. And labs, they're labs daily, and they're due 1 week later. So today is Monday. Today's quiz is gonna be next Monday, but we recommend that you do the quiz during the labs because the information of the quiz you already like have it, and you already have like deal with it. So it's gonna be fresh for you. It's gonna be easier also to answer. And there's we provided resources. So they're like lighter versions of, you can say, the lectures on certain topics. You can also watch them during the labs and then answer the quiz after that. So the quiz will be divided between the morning and the afternoon. And there's short quiz, no limits on the numbers of submissions. So it's gonna cover the morning lecture and the afternoon lecture. Again, it's recommended to watch videos during the lab and answer the quiz also during the lab. Do not wait till the next week. And exactly, the lab is just to, make you revisit main content and answer the questions. Okay. I think we can take a break and then we can come back, open breakout rooms, start the labs, and answer any questions if you have. Or maybe before I close, do you have any questions about like today's second lecture? All right, so we can take a break and then come back. Okay, everyone. We can now start the lab. So I'm gonna open breakout rooms, and again, you can find the lab of today. Yeah, and the Monday lab. It's called Monday lab. You can find a quiz. So there's videos. There's short videos for what we have learned today, and like in the morning and the afternoon. So yeah, the idea again is to make you revisit the concepts we learned today multiple times in order for you to remember these concepts, and maybe this could make you feel less overwhelmed, and makes you maybe remember the syntax. So I'm talking from my experience when I learned coding. So I remember when I learned something, then after a while I don't know what should I write. I just forget everything I've learned. So yeah, let us know how you find the new format if you have any feedback. Should name the lab today's date. Yeah, I think we can do this. That's better. We can do that. Yep. Thank you. I'm gonna open breakout rooms again if you want to work there. And if you have any questions, we can answer on the main room or in the breakout rooms. And yeah, the quiz is due 1 week from today, but again, we recommend that you will answer it today after you watch the videos. No, again, not necessarily. It's due 1 week from today. So if you have something urgent, you can do it later. It's the quiz is 1 week from today, but we have the labs for you to watch the videos basically and then answer the lab afterwards. Sorry, the quizzes questions. No worries. Yes, it's there's 8 questions for each lab for each quiz every day.
So I see someone has asked a question. It's a good question, whether or not. Let me actually pause the recording.